The first sign came on a Tuesday morning. All across Earth, electronic devices flickered at the same time. Just for 3 seconds. Most people didn't think much of it. They went back to their coffee and their morning news. Admiral Jum Kim knew better. In the command center of Earth's Space Defense Force, Jum stared at the massive screen on the wall. The reading was clear. Something big had just entered the outer solar system. How many? Jum asked, his voice steady despite the fear building inside him. Lieutenant Mina Park checked her screen again. Over 300 large vessels, sir, and those are just the ones we can detect. The room fell silent. Earth's entire defense fleet numbered only 62 ships. Send the alert to all Earth governments, June ordered. Level 1. This is not a drill. Within an hour, leaders from around the world joined an emergency video meeting. June didn't waste time with small talk. The Krethen Armada has arrived, he said simply. Based on their current speed, they will reach Earth in 5 days. President Han of the United Asian Alliance leaned forward. Are you certain these are the Krethen? We've only heard stories about them from other spacefaring races. The ship patterns match the descriptions exactly, Jun replied. And they're not responding to any communication attempts. Defense Minister Lee slammed his fist on his desk. We must launch everything we have. Every missile, every ship. Jun shook his head. Our weapons would barely damage their smallest ships. The Krethen technology is far beyond ours. Then what do you suggest, Admiral? Asked the European Chancellor. Surrender. The room grew quiet again. Jun took a deep breath. There is one option, he said. Protocol dormant. Several of the older leaders gasped. Some looked confused. Most of you have never been told about this, Jun explained. Protocol dormant was created over a century ago, when we first learned about the Krethen. It's been passed down through each generation of leadership as our final defense. What exactly is it? President Han asked. Jun hesitated. A genetic program. Special humans, living among us. They don't know what they are. They live normal lives until they're needed. You're talking about weapons, the African Union representative said. Human weapons. I'm talking about defenders, Jun corrected. The only chance we have. The Global Defense Council debated for hours. Some were angry that such a program existed without their knowledge. Others were skeptical it would work. But as the Krethen fleet moved closer to Earth with each passing minute, they ran out of options. Take the vote, President Han finally said. 23 hands raised in favor, 4 against. Protocol dormant was approved. As the meeting ended, Commander Daesung entered the room. He was one of the few people who knew all the details of Protocol dormant. Is it time? He asked Jun quietly. Jun nodded and handed him a small silver device. It was simple, with just one button. Wake them, Jun said. Dae took the device with trembling hands. Some of them are just ordinary people. Teachers, doctors. They have families who don't know. They won't be ordinary for much longer, Jun replied. And if we don't wake them, none of us will have families to return to. Dae pressed the button. Across the planet, the signal went out. It wasn't something humans could hear or feel. But deep within the DNA of certain people, dormant genes began to activate. The children were waking up, and Earth's last defense had begun. 150 years earlier, the stars had told a secret. Dr. Hyun Park stood alone in his lab, staring at the message on his screen. He had been searching for alien signals for decades. Now he had found one. But it wasn't a greeting. It was a warning. They're coming, the message said simply. It came from a dying race on a distant planet. The Krethen consume worlds. Prepare. Hyun didn't go to the government right away. He knew what would happen. Panic. Denial. Wasted time. Instead, he called his closest friend, General Min Choi. I need resources, Hyun told Min after showing him the message. And complete secrecy. Min looked troubled. What are you planning? We can't build enough weapons to fight an advanced alien race, Hyun explained. But we can change ourselves, make ourselves stronger. And so the Sentinel program began. In a hidden facility deep under the mountains, Hyun and a small team of trusted scientists worked day and night. They studied human DNA, looking for ways to unlock the hidden potential within. Humans use only a fraction of their true abilities, Hyun told his team. Our bodies limit us to protect us, but we can remove those limits. After years of work, they succeeded. They created a special genetic sequence that could be added to human DNA. This sequence would stay dormant until activated by a specific signal. Then it would unlock extraordinary abilities. Each person will develop different skills, Hyun explained to Min, based on their natural talents and what their body needs most. And who will carry these genes? Min asked. Hyun's answer was simple. Volunteers. People who are willing to be our last line of defense. The first volunteers were soldiers, scientists, and their families. They understood the risk. The genetic changes might not work. They might cause harm. But they were willing to try to save humanity. To everyone's relief, the changes worked perfectly. The volunteers lived normal lives. They had children who inherited the special genes. Those children had children of their own. With each generation, the number of potential sentinels grew. As decades passed, the original volunteers grew old. Some died. The world changed. New governments formed. The Sentinel program became a closely guarded secret, known only to a few leaders and military commanders. We should tell people, Min said in his final years. They have a right to know what's inside them. But Hyun disagreed. If we tell them, they'll try to wake the abilities early. They'll use them for the wrong reasons. Better they live normal lives until they're needed. The program was renamed Protocol Dormant. The descendants of the volunteers were tracked discreetly. They were placed in important positions throughout society, not just military, but education, healthcare, engineering, even the arts. Their skills and personalities were monitored from a distance. No one ever told them the truth. They lived their lives thinking they were ordinary people. Hyun died at age 92, never knowing if his work would be needed. His last words to Min's grandson, who had taken over the program, were simple. Remember, they're not weapons. They're people. Our children. The best of humanity. Now, a century and a half after the warning first came, those children were about to discover who they really were. In his small apartment, Ta Li was grading papers from his university students when he felt something change inside him. His head suddenly hurt. His vision blurred. And then, in an instant, everything became clear. Numbers, patterns, and probabilities filled his mind. He could see solutions to problems he hadn't even considered before. Tai dropped his pen. He knew, somehow, that he was needed, and he wasn't the only one. Across the world, the children were waking up. The signal spread across the planet in waves. It was invisible and silent. Only the children could feel it. Tai Li sat motionless at his desk for several minutes. His students' papers lay forgotten. The world seemed different now, clearer, faster. He grabbed a pencil and began to write. Numbers and equations flowed from his hand without effort. In minutes, he filled 10 pages with complex calculations. They showed missile trajectories, energy outputs, and defense strategies, things he had never studied before. His phone rang. He knew who it was before he answered. Professor Lee, a woman's voice said, "This is Commander Suk Park. You're feeling different right now. I can explain why. Can you come to the Central Military Complex?" Ta looked at the equations he had just written. "I think I already know why," he said quietly. Across the city, Jin Song was preparing dinner at her small restaurant when the change hit her. The metal spoon in her hand suddenly felt strange. She could feel the tiny currents of electricity running through it. When she focused, the spoon bent slightly. Jin dropped it in shock. Around her, pots and pans began to rattle. The lights flickered. She raised her hands, and somehow she knew she could control the energy flowing around her. Her phone rang too. In a hospital 50 miles away, Dr. Zhu Kang was checking on a patient with a broken leg when she felt the change. Suddenly, she could see inside the man's body, beyond what any X-ray showed. She could sense each broken bone cell, each damaged blood vessel. Without thinking, she placed her hand on the man's leg. A warm glow spread from her fingers. The patient gasped as his pain vanished. Zhu stepped back, staring at her hands in wonder. Then her phone rang. At a construction site on the edge of the city, Han Cho was lifting heavy concrete blocks when the awakening hit him. The block he was carrying suddenly felt as light as paper. He set it down carefully, then tested his strength by pressing his fingers against a steel beam. The metal bent like it was made of clay. Han's coworkers stared in shock. His phone rang. All across the world, similar scenes played out. A teacher suddenly able to learn any language in seconds. A police officer who could now move faster than the eye could follow. A young artist whose drawings began to come to life. Within hours, military vehicles arrived to collect them. Some were frightened. Others were excited. All were confused. Tada found himself in a large room at the military base. Dozens of other people were there too, all looking as confused as he felt. They spoke in whispers, sharing stories of strange new abilities. Commander Suk Park entered the room, followed by Admiral Jun Kim. The room fell silent. "I know you all have questions," Suk said. "I will answer them honestly. You are not sick. You are not imagining things. You have been changed." She explained about the Sentinel program, about Dr. Hyun Park and his work, about the genetic changes that had been passed down through generations. The room stayed quiet as she spoke. "Your abilities were created for one purpose," Suk continued. "To defend Earth from a threat we could not fight with normal weapons. That threat has arrived. The Krethen fleet will reach Earth in 5 days." June stepped forward. "We are asking for your help, not ordering. Asking. You did not choose this, but you are our last hope." Ta looked around the room. He saw fear in many faces, confusion in others, but he also saw determination beginning to grow. A woman stood up. It was Jin, the chef who could control electromagnetic energy. "I'll help," she said simply. One by one, others stood as well. Han, Jiwoo, dozens more. Tai was the last to stand. "Tell us what we need to do," he said. The awakening was complete. Now the training would begin. The military base quickly became too small to hold all the awakened children. By the end of the first day, over 300 had arrived. By the second day, the number grew to nearly 1,000. "We need more space," Admiral Jun told Commander Suk, "and we need to organize them." They moved everyone to an underground facility that had been built decades ago for this exact purpose. Deep beneath a mountain, the massive complex had training rooms, living quarters, and advanced technology. Ta stood in the main hall, watching as new people arrived every hour. Some looked scared. Others seemed excited. All of them were changing as their abilities grew stronger. Jin approached him, her dark hair now crackling slightly with the energy she was learning to control. "Have you met the others?" she asked. "The ones like us who have stronger abilities?" Ta nodded. "A few. The doctor who can heal with a touch. The construction worker who can bend metal." "His name is Han," Jin said. "And the doctor is Jiwoo. I think we're meant to work together." Commander Suk confirmed this an hour later, calling the 4 of them to a special meeting room. Maps and battle plans covered the walls. Admiral Jun was there, along with other military leaders. "You 4 have developed the strongest abilities so far," Suk explained. "We want you to lead teams of others." "But I'm just a university professor," Ta said. "I don't know how to lead." Jun smiled slightly. "Your new abilities include strategic thinking. You now understand battle tactics better than our best generals. It's why you were chosen." Han crossed his arms. His muscles had grown even larger since his awakening. And why was I chosen? To be the muscle. Partly, Suk admitted, but also because you understand building and breaking structures. Your mind knows where the weak points are. Jiwoo, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What about me? My power is healing, not fighting. Every team needs someone who can keep the others alive, Suk replied. And your ability lets you sense weakness in the enemy as well. Jin was the last to ask. And me, why can I control energy? Because the Krathen weapons are energy-based, Jun said. You may be our best defense against them. The four looked at each other. They were strangers 3 days ago. Now they would lead Earth's defense together. Suk showed them to a special training room. You have 3 days to learn to use your abilities fully. The Krathen will be here in 4. The training was hard, painful at times. Tae's mind could process information at amazing speeds, but it gave him terrible headaches. Jin could control energy, but sometimes it backfired, giving her burns. Han was still learning to control his strength, often breaking things by accident. Jiwoo pushed herself too hard, healing others until she nearly collapsed. But they improved quickly. By the end of the first day, Ta could create battle plans in seconds. Jin could redirect energy blasts. Han could punch through steel without hurting himself. Jiwoo could heal major injuries in minutes. They also began to form a bond. They ate meals together, shared stories of their lives before the awakening, and helped each other through the challenges. I had a restaurant, Jin told them during dinner. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I wonder if it will still be there when this is over. If we win, Han said. If not, there won't be restaurants or anything else left. Jiwoo placed her hand on his. Then we make sure we win. Ta stayed quiet, his mind running through possibilities. The odds weren't good, but humans had one advantage the Krathen didn't expect: the children. As the 3rd day of training ended, an alarm sounded throughout the facility. Everyone froze. Commander Suk's voice came over the speakers. The Krathen have increased speed. They will reach Earth tomorrow. All teams prepare for deployment. The gathering was over. The battle was about to begin. Again, Suk shouted as Jin fell to her knees. Jin was tired. She had been trying to deflect energy blasts for 6 hours straight. Her hands shook. Sweat ran down her face. I can't, she said, breathing hard. I need to rest. Suk shook her head. The Krathen won't let you rest. Again. The training robot fired another energy blast. Jin raised her hand, forcing herself to focus. The blast stopped in midair, then changed direction, hitting the wall instead. Across the training facility, similar scenes played out. Han smashed through concrete barriers, each one thicker than the last. Jiwoo moved from injury to injury, healing broken bones and cuts without stopping. Ta sat surrounded by screens, solving complex battle simulations at incredible speed. They had less than 24 hours until the Krathen arrived. Faster, Admiral Jun urged Ta. The real battle won't wait for you to think. Tae's head pounded. Numbers and strategies filled his mind. But Jun was right. He needed to be faster. Show me the Krathen ship layouts again, Ta said, closing his eyes. In his mind, he could see the alien vessels in perfect detail. He began to identify weak points, escape routes, weapon locations. In another room, other children trained in groups based on their abilities. Some could move at super speed. Others could communicate with machines. A few could even change their appearance. During a short lunch break, the 4 leaders met to talk. How is everyone doing? Tai asked. Han rubbed his knuckles, which were red despite his enhanced strength. Tired, but ready. The healing team is coming along well, Jiwoo said. We've figured out how to share energy so no one gets too drained. Jin just nodded, too tired to speak. Tad looked at his friends with concern. We need to pace ourselves, if we're too tired when the battle starts. An alarm cut him off. Everyone froze. Commander Sook rushed into the room. "We've detected the first Krathan ships entering Earth's atmosphere. They're early." "How early?" Tai asked, already calculating new plans. "They'll be in attack position in 3 hours," Sook said. The room went quiet. 3 hours. Not enough time. "Get everyone ready," Jun ordered. "All teams to their deployment areas." As people rushed to prepare, Tai pulled his 3 friends aside. "We're not ready," he said quietly. "But we have one advantage. The Krathan don't know about us. They expect normal human resistance. So we surprise them," Han said, cracking his knuckles. Jin looked scared but determined. "What's the plan?" Tai quickly explained his strategy. The children would be split into teams. Some would defend key cities. Others would target Krathan ships directly. "Our team will lead the main attack," Ta said. "Jin will disable their energy weapons. Han will break through their defenses. Juwu will keep us alive. And I'll guide us through their ships." "And then what?" Juwu asked. "Then we find whoever is in charge," Tay replied. "And we convince them that attacking Earth was a mistake." As they moved to get ready, Han stopped Ta with a hand on his shoulder. "What are our chances?" Han asked quietly. "Really?" Ta hesitated. His new abilities let him calculate odds with perfect accuracy. The numbers weren't good. 23% chance of success, he admitted. Han nodded slowly. "Better than I thought." They suited up in special armor designed to enhance their abilities. The material was light but strong, with built-in communications and medical systems. As Tai put on his helmet, he saw Commander Sook watching him. "Dr. Hyun Park would be proud," she said. "This is what he created you for." Tai straightened his shoulders. "We won't let Earth down." Sook's expression was serious. "Many of you will die today. You know that, right?" "Yes," Ta said. "But many more will live because of us." Outside, the sky darkened as the first Krathan ships became visible. Massive and black, they blocked the sun like artificial clouds. The time for training was over. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The space station hung in orbit above Earth. It was humanity's largest and most important defense platform. Now it was the Krathan's first target. Inside the station, Captain Sun gripped the command rail as warnings flashed across every screen. "How many ships?" he asked. "5 large vessels approaching," his officer replied. "Estimated time to contact: 3 minutes." Sun knew the station's weapons wouldn't be enough. He had 300 crew members who were about to die. Then his communication officer turned to him. "Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth Command. They're sending special forces." Moments later, a small transport ship docked with the station. The doors opened to reveal only 4 people in strange armor. Tae, Jin, Han, and Juwu stepped onto the station. Captain Sun frowned. "This is all they sent." Tai extended his hand. "We're all you need, Captain. I'm Ta Li. We're part of Protocol Dormant." Sun's eyes widened. He had heard whispers about Protocol Dormant. "The children," he said quietly. "I thought you were just a story." "Not a story," Han said, flexing his armored hands. "And we're ready to fight." Tai quickly explained their plan. They would let one Krathan ship dock with the station. Then they would board it and take control. "That's impossible," Sun said. "The Krathan are supposed to be twice as strong as humans, with advanced weapons." Jin smiled. "We're not exactly normal humans, Captain." The station shook as the Krathan ships approached. One broke off from the others and moved to dock. "Get your crew to safety," Tai told Sun. "We'll handle this." The 4 positioned themselves near the docking area. Han stood in front, ready to take the first attack. Jin was behind him, hands glowing with energy. Juwu and Tai stayed further back. "Remembered," Ta said. "They don't know what we can do. That's our advantage." The station shook again as the Krathan ship connected. Metal groaned as the docking clamps engaged. Then the door began to open. The Krathen were tall and covered in hard, scale-like armor. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. The first ones through the door carried energy weapons. They fired immediately. Jin stepped forward, hands raised. The energy blast stopped in midair, then reversed direction. 2 Krathen fell, hit by their own weapons. The aliens hesitated, confused. Han used that moment to charge. His enhanced strength let him slam into them like a truck. 3 more Krathen went down. More aliens poured through the door. One got past Han and fired at Ta. The blast hit him in the shoulder, burning through his armor. Tai fell back, wounded. Juwu was at his side instantly. Her hands glowed as she touched his injury. The burned flesh healed within seconds. "Thanks," Ta said, getting back to his feet. The battle continued. Jin disabled the Krathen weapons. Han fought them hand to hand, his strength matching their alien power. Juwu healed any injuries the team suffered, and Tai directed their movements, seeing patterns and opportunities no one else could. Slowly, they pushed the Krathen back toward their own ship. "Now," Ta shouted when they reached the docking area. Jin released a burst of energy that knocked the remaining aliens back into their vessel. The team followed, fighting their way onto the alien ship. The Krathen were clearly shocked. They had expected easy victory against normal humans. Instead, they faced opponents with powers they couldn't understand. In the confusion, Tai led his team to the ship's control room. Han broke down the door. Jin disabled the aliens inside with carefully controlled energy bursts. "We've done it," Juwu said in amazement as Tai took control of the ship's systems. Ta nodded, already sending a message back to Earth. First Krathen ship captured. Station secure. On Earth, Admiral Jun received the message and smiled. "It worked," he told Commander Suk. "The children succeeded." "This is just one ship," Suk reminded him. "There are hundreds more." "Yes," Jun agreed. "But now we know it can be done. Now we have hope." And across the planet, other teams of children prepared to join the fight. The news of the first victory spread quickly. Across Earth, military bases buzzed with activity as more teams of children prepared for battle. The captured Krathen ship provided valuable information about the alien technology and tactics. Tai studied the ship's control systems carefully. Their ships communicate with each other in a network. He explained to Admiral Jun through the video link. "If we can disrupt that network, we might confuse their entire fleet." Jun nodded. "How do we do that?" "Jin can create an electromagnetic pulse that might work," Ta said. "But we need to get closer to their main command ship." The plan took shape quickly. Earth would launch a counterattack using both conventional forces and teams of children. The goal wasn't just to defend, it was to push the Krathen back. In the war room on Earth, Commander Suk assigned missions to different teams. Team Blue will defend the Asian continent. Team Red takes Europe. Team Green handles the Americas. She pointed to a map of the solar system. And Team Alpha will go after their command ship. Team Alpha was Todd, Jin, Han, and Juwu. They would use the captured Krathen vessel to get close to the alien fleet. "This is the most dangerous mission," Suk told them. "Your chances of survival are low." Han grinned. "When has that stopped us?" As Earth prepared, the Krathen launched their main attack. Hundreds of ships entered the atmosphere, targeting major cities. The sky turned dark with alien vessels. The children moved into action. In Seoul, a team led by a former accountant named Ju used her ability to control gravity to bring down 3 enemy ships. In London, twins with telepathic powers confused the alien pilots, making them crash into each other. In Rio, a young man who could duplicate himself created an army that overwhelmed the Krathen ground forces. But the aliens were strong and numerous. For every ship the humans destroyed, 2 more appeared. Some cities fell under heavy attack. Buildings crumbled. People ran for safety in underground shelters. Meanwhile, Team Alpha approached the heart of the Krathen fleet in their stolen ship. Todd guided them through the alien armada, using his enhanced mind to predict safe paths. Their command ship is ahead, Ta said, pointing at the massive vessel at the center of the fleet. It was 10 times larger than any other ship. Jin looked nervous. How do we get on board? They must know we captured one of their ships by now. We don't try to hide, Ta said. We make them invite us in. He sent a message to the command ship, using the Krathen communication system. We have information about the human defenses. Request immediate docking. The response came quickly. Identify yourselves. Scout Ship 372, Tai replied, reading the designation from their stolen vessel's logs. We have captured humans for interrogation. There was a long pause. Then, approach docking bay 5. Han smiled. They took the bait. The team prepared for battle as their ship moved toward the massive command vessel. Han checked his armor. Jin practiced focusing her energy. Juwu made sure her medical supplies were ready. Remember, Ta told them, our goal is to reach their central communication hub. Jin will disable it with an EMP, and I'll send false retreat orders to their fleet. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would have to fight through the heart of the enemy command ship with just 4 people. As they docked with the massive vessel, alarms suddenly blared through their ship. They've scanned us, Ta said. They know we're not Krathen. Han moved to the airlock door. So much for the easy way in. The door opened to reveal dozens of armed Krathen soldiers waiting, energy weapons pointed directly at them. Jin stepped forward, her hands already glowing. Let's show them what the children of Earth can do. The counterattack had reached the enemy's heart. The battle on the Krathen command ship was fierce. Energy weapons fired from all directions. Han smashed his way through alien soldiers. Jin created shields of energy to protect the team. Juwu healed their wounds whenever they could find brief moments of safety. Slowly, they fought their way deeper into the massive ship. The communication center should be ahead, Ta said, his mind mapping the ship's layout. They turned a corner and found themselves in a large, empty room. The walls were covered with strange symbols and images. This isn't the communication center, Jin said, looking around. Tai stepped toward one of the walls. No, this is something else. It looks like a history room. The images on the walls showed planets, hundreds of them. Each one had a date and strange markings next to it. These are worlds they've attacked, Tay realized, each one with the date of invasion. Han pointed to one image. Look at this date. It's from over 1,000 years ago. Tai studied the symbols carefully. His enhanced mind could now understand parts of the Krathen language. They'd been doing this for a very long time, moving from planet to planet, taking what they need. Something caught his eye, a familiar shape on the far wall. He moved closer, his heart beating faster. Earth, he whispered. The image showed their home planet. But the strange thing was the date next to it. According to the Krathen records, they had visited Earth before, over 10,000 years ago. This can't be right, Jin said, looking over his shoulder. We would know if aliens had attacked Earth in the past. Would we? Tai asked. 10,000 years ago, humans were just beginning to build civilizations. Any record of an alien attack would seem like a myth or legend now. As Tai looked closer at the Earth image, he noticed something else, a symbol that appeared on only a few other planets in the room. His mind translated it. Abandoned. They came to Earth before, Ta said slowly. But they left. They abandoned the invasion. Why? Han asked. What could make them leave? Before Tai could answer, a hidden door opened on the far side of the room. A tall Krathen entered, different from the soldiers they had fought. This one wore elaborate armor and had markings on its face. A leader. Because your kind fought back, the alien said in perfect English, in ways we did not expect. The team raised their weapons, but the Krathen leader made no move to attack. You understand our language, Ta said, surprised. We have studied your world for a long time, the leader replied. We know much about humans. But you, the alien pointed at Tai and the others. You are not like the humans we studied. You are different. We're the children of Earth, Jin said proudly, and we're here to stop you. The Krathen made a sound that might have been laughter. The children. Yes, we have seen your kind before. This shocked everyone. Ta stepped forward. What do you mean? Protocol Dormant was only created 150 years ago. Your scientist thought he created something new, the alien said. He did not. He merely rediscovered what was already in your DNA. The potential was always there, dormant, waiting. That's why you abandoned Earth before, Tay realized. Some humans awakened naturally and fought you off. The Krathen leader nodded, and then they hid the truth, even from themselves. They became myths, gods, and heroes with special powers. Tay's mind raced. The legends of superhuman beings throughout human history, people with extraordinary strength, healing powers, mental abilities. They weren't just stories. We are not the first children, Ta said quietly. We're just the latest. And now you know why we have returned, the Krathen leader said. To finish what we started before the children could awaken again. But we were too late. The alien reached for a weapon. Now we must decide if Earth is worth the cost of fighting you. Han stepped forward, fists ready. Let us show you exactly how high that cost will be. The Krathen leader's weapon hummed with energy. Han didn't wait for it to fire. He charged forward, moving faster than seemed possible for his size. The alien fired, but Jin deflected the blast with a wave of her hand. Han reached the Krathen and grabbed its weapon. Metal twisted and broke under his strength. The alien leader hissed in surprise. You are stronger than expected, it said, backing away. Ta stepped forward. We don't need to fight. You can leave Earth, and we won't follow you. The alien's yellow eyes narrowed. You think this is about conquest? About territory? It laughed, a harsh sound. We need something that Earth has in abundance, something that keeps us alive. What? Jin asked. Before the alien could answer, the ship shook violently. Alarms blared through the room. Your other teams have damaged our engines, the Krathen leader said. This ship will not survive much longer. Tai made a quick decision. Jin, Han, find the communication center. Complete the mission. Jiwoo and I will deal with this. His friends hesitated, then nodded and ran through a side door. Tai turned back to the Krathen leader. What do you need from Earth? He demanded. The alien seemed to consider whether to answer. Finally, it touched a control on its armor. A hologram appeared, showing a glowing blue substance. We call it life water, the Krathen explained. Our bodies needed to function. Our world ran out long ago. We searched the stars for it. Tay recognized the substance immediately. It's just water, regular water with specific minerals. To you, it is common, the alien said. To us, it is life itself. Jiwoo stepped closer. Why not just ask? Why attack? Would you give away the one resource that ensures your species' survival to strangers from the stars? The Krathen's voice was bitter. No world ever offers to share. We must take. The ship shook again, more violently. Parts of the ceiling began to fall. We need to get to an escape pod, Ta said to Jiwoo. Then to the Krathen. Come with us. The alien looked surprised. You would save your enemy. We can find a solution that doesn't require war, Tai insisted. Earth has enough water to share. Before the Krathen could respond, Jin's voice came through Ta's communication device. We've reached the control center. I'm about to disable their network. Wait, Ta shouted. Don't destroy it. Use it instead. Send this message to all Krathen ships. He quickly explained what he had learned. Jin listened, then agreed to transmit a message offering peace instead of destruction. The Krathen leader watched Ta with strange intensity. You would share your world's resources after we attacked you. With limits and agreements, yes, Ta said. Life doesn't have to be a battle for resources. We can find better ways. The ship rocked again. A support beam crashed down, trapping the Krethen leader under it. Without hesitation, Han returned and lifted the heavy beam, while Juwu checked the alien for injuries. "You help me even now," the Krethen said softly. It touched its armor, sending a signal. "I have ordered all attacks to stop. Perhaps we can talk of this sharing." They made their way to an escape pod as the command ship began to break apart. Through the windows, they could see the Krethen fleet pulling back, weapons powering down. "It worked," Jin said in amazement. "They're actually retreating." As their pod launched away from the dying ship, Ta watched the stars. "Not retreating," he corrected. "Regrouping. This isn't over, but it's a start." 2 days later, on Earth, representatives from both species met to begin discussions. It wouldn't be easy. Trust was damaged. Fear remained on both sides. But a path forward existed. Admiral June found Ta watching the sunset from a hill outside the military base. "What happens to the children now?" Ta asked. "Now that Earth knows about us." June didn't have a simple answer. "Some people are afraid. Others call you heroes. It will take time for everyone to adjust." "And for us to adjust," Ta said. "We can't go back to our old lives." "No," June agreed. "But you can build new ones. Better ones, perhaps." As the sun set on a world forever changed, Tai thought about the future. The children were awake now, and they would stay that way. Protectors not just against aliens, but against any threat to their home. Earth had revealed its last defense, and in doing so, had found a new beginning.